finish, or anybody need extra time? Okay, so let me show you what. So this is called a super quiz. It's a Google add-on. For those of you that don't know, how many of you guys have used an add-on before? Okay, so a few of you. So Google Add-ons is just it's kind of like an extension. If you've ever used an extension on a browser, it just kind of extends the functionality of the template or of the Google Doc. So both of those are available here. The one that we used is called a super quiz. And it's got a bunch of different things that you can do with it. But basically, once you have a Google form of a quiz that you want to give, then you can push that out, and then it'll give feedback. The cool part about this is, instead of just like, if you've ever, how many of you used Flubberoo before? Flubberoo is another one that you can use to grade. This one auto grades, and it lets you do up to 4 different sections. So if you were like an elementary school teacher, you could do like adding and subtracting and have the kids kind of do, that's the example that he uses. I do it for like different learning targets. So I'll do like 4 learning targets. Once we get to 4 learning targets, I'll throw it up on here, see how they do on each one of those, and then that's how they determine how much practice they have over the weekend. So I'll do this kind of like as a practice quiz, and then I give the real quiz on Monday or Tuesday. So I do like a weekly quiz on Monday or Tuesday. I do my learning targets all that way. And this way the kids, when we're done on Friday, they just take a quick quiz, 15 minutes. It's a practice kind of thing, and it automatically pushes out. So it requires just a lot of time and effort on my end at the beginning, but then the kids are deciding how much practice they actually have to do. I can see how everybody did. So this is all the information, and this is what Google would normally give you if you were to just fill out a regular form. And so that's kind of helpful. But then I can take a look and see who got things right, who got things wrong, which is kind of nice. So it auto-graded everything. You just have to be the first one to take the test, and then it grades everybody else and tells you whether they got it right or wrong. And so I can identify ones that are weak or strong. I can also... What's that?
Do you set up the grade?
I do. So
it's a grade, and usually this would be an F. You were very generous. I got a C.
Yeah, I did. So I'll show you that in a sec. Yeah, I did set up the grade too. I didn't want anybody to feel really bad about it necessarily. You can also look, and this is where it was by teacher. So for me, I do this by section. So like I have 3 sections of accelerated chemistry. I want to separate the kids by section and see if they're weak at one thing or another. And I can see right now that you guys are pretty weak on who wrote the best X-Men stories. That's clearly Chris Claremont. But, what is Storm's real name? Corner in the orange on that one. Again, you can kind of separate this out, and I can see, and I can think about like, what did I do in this class that I didn't do in another class that made them get it better? Like it might be like a 2-minute conversation that I had with the kids that came off of a tangent, and now they understand how to draw a particle picture of a solid versus a liquid better. Like something crazy that I can make a 2-minute YouTube video and ship that out to the other 2 classes and automatically throw that up for them. I can see who got different things wrong. So I can see who got them right and who got them wrong by this tab over here, which students got these things incorrect. So you can see that right away. And you can separate it by teacher too if I wanted to. On here, this is where kind of the magic happens over here, and it's color-coded on this. So each one of these tabs kind of does a little something different, but this is how you got that email back. So I had 4 different topics, and you separate, when you make your Google form, you separate it all by section header. And when you do that, you can put your topics right here. So normally these would be learning targets. Mine were Marvel, DC, there was a miscellaneous one, and then the last one was the movie category. And then based upon how you did in each one of those, you got specific feedback. And you can put whatever you want inside of here. The only thing that I don't like is that you can't really make a link. So I can just make it so that it goes to this. Usually when I do this in class, I just have it go to a Google Doc, or I have it go to a tutorial video, or an Ed Puzzle, or an Educanon if you've ever used those things. Those are where you, Ed Puzzle and Educanon, if you haven't used those, you can make a video, or you can take a video that's already on the internet, and then you can add questions as the kids are watching the video. So if kids are really struggling with something, those are some really cool things. They're the two things that I use probably most. And then you can tie in some questions, or again, you can make a Google Doc or another Google quiz and see if they got better or worse at that topic too. And then down here at the bottom, you can also use general feedback. If you don't have time to like make all this and make it specific, you can also use just generic feedback and say, hey, check the website, it's all up there. You also can administer what the grade is. So I said that anything 40% or above, 40 to 79 was a C. Anything, if you got a B, if you got one wrong, you got a C, I think, automatically. If you got two wrong, you still got a C. If you got them all wrong, you were in the NY category, which stands for not yet in our district. And then if you got them all right within a category, you got a grade A from us. I can take a look then. This is what it auto-generated this based upon how you did. So for Dorothy, who's one of my students that tried this earlier today, this is what it gave her. This is what the thing that she needs to work on. It automatically does this, and it pulls it from the language in the auto feedback over here. So right here on this one, you can't really read it here, but it says, is excellent. If it got 100, it is excellent. 50 to 100 needs reviewing, and then below 50 needs some help. So, and that you can tie to your Google Plus or your Google Classroom or any of those kinds of things, and just kind of push this out. So that way you've got some feedback for the kids. So like Hank was pointing out, it really makes this like more specialized just for that individual student. It does require some time to like really figure out how many. I would never give the kids just 3 questions. I'd probably give them like 5 or 6 per topic, and make you can even make one of them and then just make leveled questions. So for my low-level ESL class, I'll have leveled questions where the lowest level is just the knowledge-based questions, and then ramping up as we go. And I don't really expect them to get to that level 4 necessarily, but some of them do. It auto-generated all of this. It auto-generated into, I can see who did what on this. Angel, nice job. It auto-generates then a Google Doc over here, and I can take a look and see what is in that Google Doc, and that's what it sent you via email. So it automatically generated all of that for you, tossed it inside of there. I can modify that if I wanted to, but I don't want to. You can also, if you don't want to email the kids or you can do anything else, you can also just make it, automatically make a 2x2 printout. So when you print it, then go file print, or file, I want to download it as PDF. It'll auto-generate this, and then you can cut it up and give it to each one of the kids. So if you just wanted to hand it to them on their way out or do anything like that, you could automatically do it. I think it's nice.
Out to them through Apara?
It is not through Apara. It's right through Google. It just ships right out to them automatically once they take the quiz. So the idea is, and there's all directions on this. You can just search for you can just download the add-on to your spreadsheet and add it. But it automatically sends it as soon as I take the quiz. And I do go over here and I say there's a little option over here that says create docs and emails or send new emails. Once you click this create docs and emails, it didn't used to do this, but there's been an update recently. It auto triggers, and just as soon as somebody takes the quiz and hits submit, it auto generates this and sends them an email right away.
But you send it out initially how?
I send it out initially. I would just throw it on my Google Plus page. You can email the kids. You can do anything.
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
it's just a link to a Google form.
Okay.
So it is just. So what you do is create a Google form, and then as soon as you get that Google form, So here's my original form. Good question.
So you can save them and use them year to year to year to year.
Yeah, you totally can.
You can just modify it if you wanted to.
Totally.
Okay.
So the only thing that is a little tricky, and you might want to write this down, is that I don't require login or automatically correct respondents because our kids are on totally separate domain. So the first 4 things, and it's in there too. The first thing has to be a timestamp, which is automatically going to make that row 1 or column 1. Column B has to be an email address, or it has to be their username if they were in your domain. So if you said to automatically correct your username, I just said switch an email address. The name has to be the next thing, and then a random. You can have a random question here if you want, or what period are you in, or anything like that. But those first 4 things are the only things that have to be the same. So timestamp will automatically come in. Those first 3 questions, email, name, and then teacher. Those have to be there.
This is in the form part?
This is in the form. So when you're making your form, just make sure those 3 things are your first 3 things. Oh man, we were almost out of time. And then down here, when you can separate it, you separate it by section headers. So when you're in it, you just have to go in and say, let's say I wanted to add to the bottom here. When you're down here, you just have to click the section header button.
Okay.
And there's a 15-minute video that explains all of this, and he actually put together, this is a Google education trainer that put all this stuff together, and he's running a bunch of different scripts all together. So there's a little bit of autocrat, there's a little bit of Doctopus, there's a little bit of this, there's a little bit of that, all within here, and he's got a ton of formulas that all reference each other. It's all the stuff that you'd like to do on your own, but it's already done for you. So you just make a Google form, and then this sends feedback back to the kids. Question?
It automatically creates a document in their drive?
It automatically will create a document on your drive that they have view permissions for. So,
Okay.
yep. So when I click on that, if you go back to my drive, I have a little thing that's called Super Quiz Document Folder, and these are all of the documents. And you can see the share permissions. When I click on the share permissions, you can see that this new thing right over down here. It says, "Hey, I shared this with Trish."
But you're saying if it's view only, then they can't take it, so do you?
No.
make it-
The form is not view only. The document that got emailed to you after the fact, that's view only.
The
Feedback.
Oh, the
So on,
feedback, okay.
just that individual student is able to see?
Yep,
their-
you got it. Nobody else. You and that student are the only ones that are able to see that document.
Okay.
Super nice. Other questions? It is. I will tell you that. In all honesty, this is a little cumbersome to use. Just the first time you use it, the first or second time you use it, just because you'll make mistakes. Like when I used this summer, it wasn't as nicely laid out, and I put the name before the email, and then nobody got an email back. So I had to cut it up and print it out and give it to all the people that took the course that I was doing. And then I put it in the right order, but then if you try to, you really have to make sure that your form is right before you add on this. Because if you add this on after the fact, it'll kind of screw everything up. So so make sure that when you make your form, you've got all your questions in the right place, all the questions that you want, because you really can't make changes to your form after the fact. So you can use it year to year, but just make a copy of your form and start it from scratch, basically.
Okay.
And you can make changes to a question, but you would have to retake you would have to make sure
It
that
would, then
answer
your
is the same
add-ons would
one.
all change as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I get it.
just kind of keep that in mind, in the back of your mind. And
I
it's,
realize if you change it, then your add-ons are,
yeah, they
that's
kind
kind
of,
of, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
kind of
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't really know what to do with it, and then
Alright.
it doesn't know what the right answer is, because your answer has to be, this is just like Flubberoo used to be, where you had to be the first person to take the quiz.
Right.
It doesn't know which one to look for. So if you've never used that might be a good place to start too. I just wanted to show you one that gave back more customized information. Flubberoo just gives you back like how you did on the quiz, but it doesn't give back specific feedback as to what to improve on.
Right.
This one gives you specific feedback as to how you can improve. And I think for me, if I was a student in class, that's what I'd want to know. Like, don't give me a bunch of homework just to give me homework. Like, tell me what things I need to work on, and at least now I know. At least I've got a little bit more information to be able to do that. Any other questions on that? Okay. I'm going to push out real quick. How many of you are familiar with Hapara? Okay. So this is similar. I just tend to like it a little bit better because it does some things a little differently. So I'm going to push out a document to all of you using a program. How many of you have used Doctopus before? Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to show you how to push a document using Doctopus. So I'm going to go, and all you have to do is just create a new spreadsheet. And I'll show you right now, just from scratch, how you use these add-ons. So I click the add-on button over here. I'm going to make this file real quick. Practice Doctopus 10, 22, 14. Oh, not 122, 10, 22. Okay, if I click the add-on button, the first thing you have to do is install these add-ons. But the nice part is that it used to be that when you installed when you added on something, you had to add it on and it was tied to your sheet. So every single time you had to install and get permission and do all this annoying stuff, every single time you did it. Now they're tied to you. So you're saying that no matter what spreadsheet I open, you automatically give me access to these add-ons. I don't have to re-give all my permissions. So once you have that installed, there's one of these that's called Doctopus. And you can click the launch button. And the internet works here, I know that for sure. And then it says, okay, tell me where your roster is. And I haven't built a roster for you guys. So, but I have for my other classes. You can see all these other things that I've built rosters for. So you can build a new roster. And I'm just going to throw it on the sheet. And it's going to build a new tab. You'll see it down here at the bottom. I'm going to put create roster. And I'm going to toss in your stuff real quick. Oops, backwards. I didn't ask for your first and last name, but I'll just put anything in here. All right, there we go, close enough. All right, and then you give a roster. So I'm gonna click refresh, and now it knows that this is all the people that I've got inside of here. And then I gotta give it a name, so I'm just gonna call this practice 1022. Okay, and you can create class folders, and if you're gonna use this all the time, I create the class folders. With you guys, you're not my real. It does integrate with Google Drive automatically. This is going to be automatic, and it will integrate with Hapara folders as well. So you can just tell it, hey, pick the Hapara folders that I already got.
Oh.
So that's actually kind of nice. So you click Save Roster and Continue. And this is similar to Hapara. It's going to push it, basically it pushes out a document. But there's certain things that I like about this over Hapara. Now, I haven't used Hapara that much this year. One of the things that this does versus Hapara is that it kind of creates a spreadsheet for every individual assignment. So in Hapara, you have to like go into their folder and kind of look at their individual assignments. Here, it builds a link over here, and I automatically have access to their assignment, to every single one of theirs. If I attach a rubric to that assignment, then while I'm grading each one of their assignments, I can just click the next button, and it automatically takes me to the next person that's on the list. So this is one of the reasons I like this a little bit more than Hapara. And if you've never used Hapara, then you don't know any different. I usually do this as an individual, all the same kind of assignment. And I can give, the cool part is, just like Hapara, I think this does it in Hapara too. I can say that other kids can view other kids' assignments, or they can comment on other kids' assignments. And I can also say that a kid, you can only comment. So like if I wanted to just push out an assignment and I just wanted them to do some practice peer editing, I can push just an assignment to all the kids, have them all complete their own peer edits, and then we could take a look and see, okay, did you miss this? Did you fix that? All those kinds of things. Most of the time for my class, I just want them to be able to edit their own, and that's it. And there's a little checkbox here, editors cannot change sharing permissions. That's kind of important so that they can't like share it with somebody else or do anything else like that. And I can click Save and Continue. If you have a co-teacher too, you can give them access to the assignment automatically, and you can give them rights to grade it as well. That's kind of nice. I don't. So. Does not apply to me. Okay, so now this is where it gets a little tricky. You just click on the folder that the assignment is in. I'm just going to push out a crazy thing that I did just recently. And I can click. So this is one of the. You guys find this fascinating. Let me tell you. You're like, whoa, Mr. Swistak, this is awesome. I cannot wait to do this assignment. Because that's what the kids all said. So I was out on Friday and Monday. Friday I had a yearbook field trip, and Monday I was teaching a cooperative learning class. And I was like, I don't really want to make copies of all this and then have them do everything. So I actually just made these 2 templates. I gave one of them to them on Friday and one of them to them on Monday, and so this was one of them. So this is where it gets a little tricky. It says to choose the folder. So instead of clicking on the assignment, you have to click on the folder. Don't click on the assignment. Sometimes people get a little stuck here. And then down here, it'll show you what's in the folder. It's kind of annoying. So when I click Save and Continue, it's going to do all that. And it'll name the file just like it does here. It's going to say last name, first name, and then it'll name it whatever you want. I can include an email address. I usually do that, so that way they know. And I'll say assignment for today. Don't, because kids like delete all my emails from me. Delete. All right. And you can even put a personalized note, so you can say hi, and then I'll pick your last name because your first name is nonsense. Please complete. Thanks. And, oh, I forgot to choose. Come on. So anyways, it pushes this out, and then you can attach, oh, this is waiting here. Then you make a rubric for this assignment, and you can automatically attach it to that assignment and grade it. So let me show you real quick. Since this is having difficulty, let me show you real quick one of the ones that I did before. No, I don't have them anymore. Sorry, guys. Let's see if it's working now.
And these go out via email.
These go out via Google Docs, and then you can choose whether you want to email them or not. I'm going to create a new folder. I think that was the problem. I didn't do that. Okay. So now I'll email you guys real quick. So save and continue. All right. So if you check your email now, let's see. Oh, now my student in my first class is going to get one of these too. Sorry, Dorothy. So if you check your email, you can see that it's kind of running. It's got the document. It automatically shared them with you. So if you check your email right now, if you're one of those top people, so the thing I like about this is, and as Hank was talking about it, you know, like before we had Google Docs, I had my own Gmail address. I would push stuff. I would tell the kids, okay, use your, and they had Gmail and Google Docs before we did. So I was like, okay, use your stuff. Share it with me. Please put your last name first, a hyphen, and then lab title. And they would, even the best kids would inevitably screw that. It's like, if you want to go to MIT and you can't kind of follow a simple direction. Okay, I mean, yeah, I get it. So I'm going to click continue. And now I can now click on this, and this is the nice part, is that I can now take a look and see how Angel's doing on this. So I'm in this document, and here's his right here, and there he is right over there. Look at that, see? And I can take a look and see how he was doing on this assignment. I can make comments. I can chat with him. I can do all this other kind of stuff. So like in my downtime, while I was, so you can see what he's doing over there. In my downtime while I was presenting or while I was in the yearbook thing, I was commenting on kids' things, and they were like, what are you doing? Like, what? I was like, aren't you supposed to be doing something? I was like, I'm in a meeting, but I'm not doing anything right now. You don't know how to make a particle picture, so go back and watch the video that I made for you. Or I'd like point out, like, here's the thing to click on.
Complain that it won't work on their Chromebooks?
Nope. This works perfect on the Chromebooks.
Then why does it say one at a time?
Oh, this one,
Yeah.
this one in particular, this animation is a FET animation, and those have not been. So we were in the computer lab that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The other one that I left them on Friday actually did work on the Chromebooks. So, but it wasn't as good. So I was like, all right, well, this is the one time we got to go to the library, which doesn't hurt them to go to the library every now and again. So the other thing that's really cool and different from Apara, again, I'll go back in to Octopus. I'm going to go to Assess, and you can attach what they call a rubric, which is just a rubric. There's a couple things you have to do. I think these are already done. So I'm going to go ahead and select my rubric. Uh-oh. Running out of time here. All right, so I just made a random one here. And then I can attach the rubric to that assignment. And what that does is it builds a new link over here. So this would be to me, this is something for if you're like wanting the kids to do a rough draft and then you want them to make changes or you want them to like do all those kinds of things. I think that's all super duper way to go on this kind of stuff. I don't use this as often, but I would if I was doing those kinds of things. So now I can click on Angel's assignment. And in theory, see this little guy up here? This little eyeball? I can click on that. Oh, I got it. Okay, there we go. I didn't used to have to. You have to do it like the first time on this computer. I probably never done it. Okay, so now I'm going to click on the little eyeball again. And there's my rubric. So now I can give him a score. And I can give him a score for this. And I can say, oh boy, you've got a lot of work to do here. And then it'll automatically email it to them. I would not do that if you're grading like during the school day. Or if you're grading like during class while they're working on something else. Then they all want to talk to you and they want to complain and ask questions. And I'm trying to get them all done. If it's like on the weekend, totally fine. And then they all want to share their grades with each other, which kind of defeats the whole point. But I'm going to go ahead and do that. But the cool part is that it automatically pastes that rubric down to the bottom too. So it saves it. And now this is what comes up now. This is why I like it better than Apara. Now I graded it. Now I can click next. And now it opens up the next document. Seems like a really simple thing. However, if you've ever tried to do this using other means where you gotta like click on a little folder and then click the next kid's folder and do all that kind of stuff, I don't have the patience to do all that stuff.
So Gubrick is an extension.
Gubrick is an extension that's built into Doctopus. It used to be a totally separate thing.
So it could not be added outside of Doctopus?
Once you install an extension to your Chrome profile, so long as like see the little ninja up in the top left?
Mm-hmm.
If you sign into Chrome or you're on a Chromebook, you automatically transfer those extensions every time that you sign into that.
But can you use it outside of Octopus?
No, you cannot. No, it has to be within Doctopus.
Okay,
It
so
used
it's
to be
not a rubric maker.
Exactly.
extension.
It used to be a totally separate thing. Yeah, you need, and I obviously don't have enough time to go through all this. But the rubric that you make, all it's doing is grabbing a rubric that I made as a spreadsheet. And it gives you directions for how to make the rubric and do all that other stuff. It's really nice. I mean, I like it a lot, especially if you have like a rubric that you use all the time, like a writing rubric or a lab template rubric or any of those kinds of things. It's pretty easy. And then then you can see the other nice part is I can see when everybody last edited this document. I can look at the rubric scores. Here's where we're at as far as the rubric scores. I can also, and this is super cool, I think, and that is you can also oh, this is the other cool part. So right now I own this document, okay? Which means I can do a lot of different things to it. But the other thing that I can display average score, I can do all different kinds of stuff. But I can also embargo the documents for grading. So if I say you have to have this done by Friday at noon, I can actually, at Friday at noon, I can go in here and click that button and the kids can't make any changes to the document. which is actually kind of nice. And then the other thing that I really like about this, and this is one of the things that people have talked about in my department at least, is I can transfer the ownership of these documents to the students. So once I'm done with all these grades and I'm never going to make any changes to them at all, I can just click the transfer ownership to students, and now they own the document and it's no longer in my drive. So that's actually super nice and super easy, but you don't want to click that button until you're
Can
completely
they change their
done.
grade then?
They cannot. They could change, I mean, they can't change anything on there because you're going to put it in your grade book anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference. But they can't actually get in there. Yep, question? Oh, you have a question? I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
No problem. One last thing that I wanted to show you, and that's just because I kind of had it on the list. Anybody a math teacher in here? Or do I teach math? Okay, well, you can go back and tell somebody about this. If you've never used GMath, it's actually pretty cool. And they just added a new feature. GMath is just like, this is one thing I always hear from math teachers is they're like, oh, I can't use, like Google Forms because I can't build like formulas and all that other stuff. But it actually has a formula builder. So it actually goes in and there's a little GMath extension. And you can create all sorts of math expressions or graphs. So you can tell it, okay, I'm going to do y equals 2x plus 2x plus 3. Oh, plus 32. Okay. And I can insert that, and it'll build that graph, which is kind of cool. If you're a math teacher, it's super cool. If you're a math teacher, you're super duper impressed. Anyways, if you're going down, the other cool thing about this is I can highlight all of these formulas that I just built. That wasn't the cool part. This is the cool part. Now it'll automatically create that as a form. So you can say, I've chosen A1 to A4 as my question range. I click proceed. Practice GMath 2. Practice GMath 1. And I click create form. It's like people that make these things. My minions are working on creating a form now. And then, this is kind of annoying, but you have to copy and paste this in. It automatically is in your Google Doc, but when you copy and paste that in, there's what it looks like. So, it puts a little solve button at the top. I didn't really put the solve for. Puts a little solve thing. Kids pop their number inside of there.
How can they, like, with math,
Mm-hmm.
you need theoretically pen and paper.
To me, they would just do everything on their pen and paper,
And then
separate, and then just toss their answer in there.
Okay, but if you're is there a way, like if you're, I know I have some teachers at school that are super big on showing their work.
Yep. So I would just have the kids like number it off, or what I've done before when I've used this, because I do some graphing.
Well,
it's simple.
I'm sure in chemistry you would need some
You
that
do.
kind of thing.
And so what I do is I just hand them, it's just a box, like a grid,
Yeah.
and then I say, show your work for number 1 in that box, show your work for number 2 in that box, show your work
On
for
a
number 3.
piece of paper.
On a piece of paper, they turn that in, and then they
What
do it.
about what's the little, there's a pencil, there's a paper, and a trash.
So that's just to edit, so that when you're in a Google form, you can edit this question, but all it's doing is grabbing that as an image, and then it's building that in as an image, and then it's automatically building a little box underneath. You could also change this and make it multiple choice if you wanted to, too.
You can pick.
Oh, so that's not what the kids are actually
No.
seeing. That's just what you're saying.
That's what I'm seeing.
What do the kids
what the
see?
kids would see,
Sorry,
that's good.
I'm
Good
just
question.
confused.
Oh, that's a good
I'm
question.
totally amused by this.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Huh.
Oh man, I don't know why it's not funny.
Just do view live form?
Can't you just do view live form to show
I
her?
could do that. That would be easier. Sorry.
Oh,
That's what it looks like.
okay.
Yep. So it just looks like that. And again, you could use this with Super Quiz too. So you could say, all right, let's make the answers all multiple choice. And then based upon how the kids did, you could use that Super Quiz add-on. Boom. There you go. 2 tools.
Why is there like a little, what is that little
Do
symbol?
This little guy over here.
Yeah, what's
Because
that?
I use last pass. So I think it's weird. It's because it's a form, so it thinks that it wants my last pass.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Sorry. That's only because I use LastPass all the time, so, which I don't like.
Really? I use it for almost everything.
I use too many machines is the problem. Like if I just use one machine, it would be just fine. I use 40 million machines, sometimes in Safari and I forgot, and then I'm on my iPhone, and then I'm on my wife's Android phone.
And then to get all these add-ons, you just went to
Oh, yeah, let me show you.
add-ons, get
Yeah,
add-ons?
so you're just, and you can do it, there are some add-ons for this too, I just didn't get a chance to show you all of them. There are some add-ons for Google Docs too. So you go to add-ons and then get add-ons. So these are ones that I've used with Google Docs. Is EasyBib, pretty nice to make make a bibliography. And then the other two that I've used, GMath has one that you could build right into Google Docs. And then there's a table of contents one, which is kind of broken. I wouldn't use that. So. But the spreadsheet ones that I use are far more, there's more of those. Autocrat is similar to Doctopus, except what it does is it lets you do a mail merge. So you can take a bunch of information and automatically ship it out to a bunch of people. You know whether you need to use a mail merge ever. One of the ways I've used mail merges is for all our crazy pre-tests that I want to just get out to the kids. So I will say, hey, your score on this was this. That falls within the parameters of an accelerated student or not an accelerated student. So it's a nice, easy way to get stuff out to kids. Doctopus is the one I talked about. Flubberoo is the grading assignment. I don't like that much as the super quiz. But if you just want somewhere to start, Flubberoo is a great place to start, where it'll auto grade your stuff for you. Mike, you use Flubberoo, right? So, I mean, it does everything that
It works.
Yeah, it just works. Gives the kids a grade. That's all they just want to know how they do.
And what did you say, Edpuzzle and Educano?
Yeah, Edpuzzle is what I use. I like this one a little better than Educanon because it's free. Free's good. Educanon is free, but then if you want to like really do some stuff, you got to kind of pay for the. We did pay for the full version. I had another teacher and I shared a Gmail account for the class that we teach, and we just paid for the full version, but it was $80. So this one is free. Edpuzzle is totally free. And what Edpuzzle lets you do is it lets you make an assignment for the kids. So like in here, like edit video. If you edit this video, you lose this. Okay, I don't care. They already did this. So what it lets you do is like take a video that you find on YouTube and it lets you just add questions to it. So as the kids are watching it, they can, like on their Chromebooks or on their phones or whatever it is, it'll automatically just kind of pop up a question for them to do. So I cropped this video. It was a really long video. It was like 11 minutes and 24 seconds. I cropped it to 5 minutes and 21 seconds, and then I added a bunch of questions. What are two kinds of numbers in calculations? What two things does it measure? You know, it's Hank Green over there. So when the kids are watching this video, it just kind of forces them to focus on the video. They can't, once a question pops up, you can eliminate skipping. So they can't skip ahead nor behind in the video. So once a question pops up, they would have had to have been focused and paying attention in order to get the right answer.
And as they're answering it, is the video still there?
No, it pauses the video automatically for them and just kind of
And
pauses
then it sends you the answers?
It sends me the answers. I can take a look. You can see right here. I think I just deleted all of their stuff because yeah. So I can
Integrates
take.
with Drive or?
It works with Google Plus. So if you have a Google Plus sign in, you can automatically sign in with Google Plus. I kind of force all the kids to get a Google Plus assignment because that's where, if they go to my website, I feel like I'm over time. Like, am I over time? Or, I don't know. Okay.
They're still going.
Everyone seems to be
Everyone's
still talking, so I still have questions. So like I use a Google Plus because Google Communities, Google Classroom Communities isn't available to us because the kids are in a different domain than we are. So we can't use it. So I still use a Google Plus account so like I can push things out to them. So Educanon is still on the side over there. So the kids all have to have a Google Plus account to join this, and a lot of the things have Google Plus sign in. So they sign in as a student, click the Google Plus sign in, it automatically grabs their name and all that other stuff in there for them, and they just need a class ID that I give them from Edpuzzle. So it automatically makes it for them.
So they can only use Edpuzzle through.
They can make a username if they want to. Anybody can use Edpuzzle. It's just edpuzzle.com, I think.
No, but I'm saying like you can only assign that to them if they have a Google Plus account.
Nope, they don't have to have a Google Plus account. It just certainly makes things easier.
Why?
Because they will, my kids at least, I don't know about anybody else's kids, but my kids will always lose their usernames and passwords, like constantly.
Yeah.
They'll come to me and they'll be like, what was my password for this? Again, there's one called teachchem.com or something like that. And I have to manage the passwords for that one, and it's always like, Mr. Stick, I forgot my password. And I'm like, it's Big Booty Shaker. And it's crazy, I'm like, I don't know if you wanted everybody to know that was your dumb password. You did ask for it. But this is kind of cool in that, like, as a teacher, I can see that 91% of the kids this was actually teachers that completed this. I was teaching something. And I can see how they did. Open-ended questions on this, I can grade right here. So these are all open-ended questions that I graded. And you can see that the ones in red, that was the ones that were wrong. The ones in green, those are the questions that were right. It gives me a ton of feedback back. So like, here's a multiple choice question. 16 people got it right and 1 person got it wrong. And I can see who that 1 person was. It's way down over here. So again, it just gives me like, again, when we talk about those formative assessments, this is like great formative assessment. Like the kids know that it's low pressure, just try your best.
So Edpuzzle is not an
Go
add-on.
ahead. Yeah, I don't know. I just kept going. Nobody's gonna stop me, so.